and your mercy in the shedding of blood on the cross, and most of all, the resurrection that we just celebrated, we would be lost. Let us never forget that. Whatever our vocation, whatever our location, is that you are the King. Lord, we thank you for the blessings of life. We ask that you give us wisdom and discernment and strength and courage. Lord, we thank you for that salvation. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for filling in.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate you both. Now the reading of the journal. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate dispense with reading of the journal.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Message and petitions, Mr. Clerk.
There are none.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Committee reports. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Mr. President, I move the Senate dispense with the reading of the committee reports.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the committee reports. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next to the reading of the titles of bills and resolutions. Senator Polk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate dispense with reading of the titles of the bills and resolutions.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the titles of bills and resolutions. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Introductions. Introduction, Senate. Senator Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Senator England and Senator Delano and Senator Seymour, we have with us today Leadership Jackson County from the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce. If y'all will all stand, please stand up. A great group here. So welcome to your Senate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Thomas. Introduction, sir.
Introduction, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Today we have the doctor of the day. He's Dr. Scott Hamilton. He's addiction medicine. He's the vice chair of the State Medical Association Board of Trustees. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming today. Thank you very much. Okay, Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the South Gallery, I'd like to welcome some members of the Juniorette Diamonds Club of Picayune. I have my friend Darlene Adams, who is their director, and I have Maddie and Molly Grace Replogle and Morgan Duckett. Would y'all please stand and let us make you welcome?
Thank you. Welcome to the Capitol. Senator England for an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I have a special introduction today as part here with the Jackson County Leadership Group is my neighbor, Miss Emily Parker. So I just wanted to give her a special shout out and ask us to help make her feel welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. We're glad to have you here. All right, Senator Chasnow for an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I'm not sure if they've made it into our chamber yet, but we have representatives from Mississippi's Children's Museum that are in the Capitol today. On your desk, you will see that they have given everyone a free pass to go in and take your favorite child to that museum and see all the wonderful things there. Susan Gerard's the director, and MCM has been recognized as one of the top 3 best children's museums in the country by Mississippi or USA Today. So just when you see them, say thanks and enjoy using your tickets. Thank you.
They're a great asset both here and in Meridian. Fantastic facilities that they're doing, educational facilities. Okay, introductions. Introductions. Seeing none, Senator Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ask that you allow for floor privileges for members of the William Carey University Athletic Program and their president, Dr. Ben Burnett.
Privileges are granted. Sergeant at Arms, please escort the guests to chamber floor.
Mr. President, I'd like to request that Senate Concurrent Resolution 537, ask that the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 537, a concurrent resolution recognizing the remarkable growth and success of the athletic program at William Carey University and commending these higher education accomplishments. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Mississippi, the House of Representatives concurring therein, that we do hereby recognize the remarkable growth and success of the athletic program at William Carey University and commend these higher education accomplishments, extending the best wishes of the legislature for future success. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to William Carey University President and CEO, Dr. Ben Burnett, and his athletic staff, forwarded to the Board of Trustees of William Carey University, and made available to the Capitol Press Corps.
Senator Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we're here to honor the William Carey University Athletic Program. Over the last several years, William Carey has excelled in multiple sports, men's and women's sports, with several finishing in the top 25, several playing for national championships, and among the people here, I can't name everybody, but I do want to point out a couple of people to tell you a little bit about the character of William Carey and Coach Bobby Halford, who has been head coach at William Carey for 38 years, has led the baseball team to World Series appearances. I think he is has the most wins for any active baseball coach in Mississippi. I believe it's over 1,300 now. And he's been a part of that program for over 50 years as a player, assistant coach, and then as a head coach. Also, Coach Knight, who is the men's basketball coach, he has been the head coach for 42 years. That's pretty much my entire lifetime. And growing up, we used to go to William Carey games often and see the same faces that you see up here now. There's several other coaches and players here. All have been very successful at William Carey. And William Carey has been a successful school for the Hattiesburg area, the Gulf Coast, and for the state of Mississippi. They have a large medical school that is graduating students from all over the world, that many of them choose to stay in Mississippi to practice medicine, and they are named to be the #1 medical school for placing doctors in rural areas. And in addition to that, they have several other fine programs, all under the leadership of Dr. Ben Burnett, who's to my left. And Mr. President, at this time, I'd like to ask for you to recognize Dr. Burnett to say a few words.
Dr. Burnett, you're recognized to address the Mississippi Senate.
Thank you, Senator Johnson, and thank you all for allowing us to bring some of our best and most talented students at William Carey University to join you today. We also want to thank you for what you do for the state of Mississippi. I'm a native Mississippian, born in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, and grew up most of my life in South Mississippi. And what goes on in this room is important to me as a Mississippian, and what we do at William Carey University is important as well, because most of our students at William Carey University are native Mississippians, graduate and stay in Mississippi and contribute to our economy. So he mentioned a lot of our great characteristics. He didn't say the largest medical school in the state. He did say a medical school that produced the most doctors for rural areas, and that's ranked #1 by U.S. News and World Report. We also have graduated more teachers and school leaders in K-12 education over the last 5 years than any other university, public or private, in the state of Mississippi. So we're contributing doctors at the rate of 200 per year. We're contributing pharmacists in our Biloxi campus, and we're trying to expand our Biloxi campus to serve the Gulf Coast even more. And our athletic program is at the heart of William Carey. We're 131 years old, and with 5,500 students, 350 of those are our athletes. And as important as their wins on the field, or more important than their wins on the field, they were recognized this year by winning the Hallbrook Award, which is the award for the highest graduation rate in the state of Mississippi for college athletics. So we're very proud of that accomplishment for them as well. So thank you for allowing us to be here with you today, and we'll be in prayer for you as you finish this legislative season, because God knows you need it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ben, it's good to see you. Thank you for the great work y'all are doing in the medical field and education field, particularly educating our future teachers and our future doctors and nurses. Okay, Senator Brumfield, you're recognized.
Introduction, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
In our West Gallery, we have some of Pike County's finest clergymen here with us today. I'm going to ask Pastor Weathersby and Reverend Nemox to please stand. Senator, please help me make them welcome.
Okay, Senator Delano, for what purpose, sir?
Mr. President, can I do a motion to reconsider at the proper time?
Please proceed.
It's on yesterday's calendar. I believe it's item number 28. Not 100% sure. Ask the
You
clerk.
need to be sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
One moment. We need a bill number, Senator.
Yes, item number 28, Senate nomination number 91. I'd like to hold that on a motion to reconsider. Thank you.
One second. Let me make my note here. Okay, Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate nomination number 91, Ann Hall Brashear, originally Mississippi Commission on the Status of Women, 4-year term beginning July 1st, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2027, representing an at-large appointment.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Michelle,
For an introduction, please, Mr. President.
please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Chastanall mentioned that we have representatives from Children's Museum and the Capitol Building today, and they're now in the North Gallery. I'd like them to stand and be recognized, please, from the Jackson facility. Susan Gerard and Emily Hoff, and Barbara Zeller is here. She's the executive director of the facility in Meridian. Y'all and all your other members who are with you today, please stand so we can welcome you to the state capitol.
Outstanding work. They had the McLeod Stars with them this morning. They're bright young people. It's good to have them here. Senator McMahon.
Mr. President, introduction.
Please proceed, sir.
I would ask the Senate to pay attention to the South Gallery. We have here today Tupelo High School young Republicans representing the mighty Golden Wave of Tupelo, Mississippi. Chloe Becker, Fisher Black, Sam Cannon, Evelyn Cash, Inslee Cook, Mac Enos, Oliver Harmon, Brooke Hayes, Gracie Hopkins, Peachy Leslie, Hudson Mills, Sophie Maloney, Cole PQ, Steele Satterfield, Grisham Shelton, Autumn Simmons, Sam Ulshey, Bella Waldrop, Luke Williamson, and their chaperones, Chris McCrory, Tyler Fidley, Ginger Enos, and Matthew Rutledge. I ask the Senate to give them a big welcome.
Thank you for joining us. It's good to have you. Thank you for your participation in the political process. We appreciate y'all taking time to be with us. Okay, any other introductions? Any other introductions? Seeing none, we'll go to the calendar. Senator Hobson. We're on item 1, Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we go to, we skip items 1 and 2, have them retain their place, go to item 3 and have the title read.
Item 3, Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1706, program funded with ARPA funds, revise certain provisions and bring forward sections of.
I make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you. I move adoption of the strike all and ask that you recognize Senator Polk to explain.
Senator Polk, you're recognized to explain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1706, Section 1 brings forward Code Section 27104-322 for possible amendment. In Section 2, it brings forth 27104-323 for possible amendment.
and transfers any interest remaining in the fund on July 1st of this year to the Corona State Fiscal Recovery Fund. It authorizes the state fiscal officer to transfer any principal funds remaining in the fund to the federal government if necessary. Sections 3 through 11 are brought forward so we can possibly amend it if needed. Section 12, remember, we will be out of session when the deadline meets December 31st, 2024, and this will allow us to obligate funds to certain funds, so we won't send any funds back to the U.S. Treasury. It clarifies that based upon current Treasury guidance, all ARPA funds must be obligated excuse me, by December 31st of this year, and they must be expended by December 31st of 2026. DFA will determine the amount of unobligated funds as of November 1st, and then they will require any agent to notify DFA if they have any unobligated funds from the passage of this act until November 1st of 2024. From the passage of this act and no later than November 5th of this year, DFA will transfer any of the obligated funds to the main ARPA fund. DFA will be able to retain the lesser of the estimated cost of ARPA administration, or $25 million. This $25 million includes the ARPA administration appropriation we provided in DFA in our Senate Bill 3163. And then by no later than November 6th of this year, DFA will transfer these funds to the ARPA MDOT Maintenance Fund. This will become the overflow fund. It's our intention that any funds that are given back that we haven't obligated will go to the Maintenance Project Fund. Section 13 creates the ARPA MDOT Maintenance Fund to be utilized for projects including the maintenance program of the MDOT 3-year plan. The Department of Transportation may escalate its budget for any ARPA funds received through the transfers of Section 12. And then finally in Section 14, we've had reviewing agencies. We're clawing back some funds. If you'll remember, we had a bill earlier this session that we clawed back almost $145 million. This is adjusted a little bit in this to $144,484,701. That's a fewer dollars than we did in our bill in the beginning, because some of the agencies had already spent some of the funds that we had obligated that we were intending to claw back. If there are no questions, use of the morning, I move for the adoption of the strike-off.
We have questions, Senator, starting with Senator Seymour. For what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr. President.
Will you for a question, Senator Poe?
I do.
Senator Seymour is recognized.
In Section 9, on line 574,
okay,
what are we consolidating? Are we consolidating grant projects, or are we talking about consolidating governmental entities?
The reason we're really bringing this section forward is for possible amendment. We don't know that we'll have to or not, but this has to do with the water associations.
Right, but we've struck language in it in as giving more latitude to the grant projects.
We did not change the previous language. It's the same as it was. What line are you on exactly? Give me that again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm speaking on the original, questioning on the original bill. We're doing the strike-off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I did think.
Okay, thank you, Senator Seymour. Senator Blackman. For what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr. President.
Do you yield, Senator?
I do.
Senator Blackman is recognized.
In Section 14, line 1026, what is that $10 million going to?
What line are you on, sir?
1026 has got independent school and for grant fund, $10 million?
Okay, that is the private school funding that we did 2 years ago to the tune of $10 million. That is in the litigation right now, as you know, and that money has been clawed back in this $144 million that I've talked about.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator McMahon, for what purpose, sir?
Mr. President, I'd like to speak on the legislation at the proper time.
Thank you, Senator. If you would come forward, please, sir. I think we've got one other question. Senator Johnson. I'm sorry, Senator Sparks, at Senator Johnson's desk.
Thank you, Mr. President, for a question.
Yes, sir. Were you here for a question, Senator?
Well, not if he's not at the right microphone. Yes, I do.
Come on, it's early, y'all. All right, Senator Sparks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The dollars, I see the listing that's going to be clawed back, and I recognize the question you just answered about the $10 million. All of this money that's clawed back, is that going into the overflow fund at MDOT currently, or is it for consideration of reappropriation during this session within the November catch-all?
As you remember, we reappropriated some funds the other day, and that was, I believe it was $80 million to the highway fund, $60 million to Bureau of Buildings, $25 million for administration, and I believe $20 million for canopy. That's included, that's in the $144 million. Okay. Any overflow that we end up with over appropriated funds would go to the DOT maintenance fund. So if we might have $5 million there, we may have none, we may have $50 million, but all the overflow would go to the maintenance fund.
And we're not going to try to identify if it's lost revenue or if it's not lost revenue, because there were different spending guidelines for the calculation of lost revenue, if I recall.
We are not in this identifying any lost revenue and sending it to different sections that way. The law does say, the bill does say, that every penny spent will be spent according to ARPA guidelines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Sparks. Other questions on the bill? Other questions? Senator McMahon, you're recognized.
Senators, I had not intended to speak on this bill, but I did want to alert this chamber to some moving parts about the ARPA funds so that you're aware of it. There are multiple projects across the state that are not going to be approved for ARPA reimbursements. I would encourage you to get on the phone with your mayors and your aldermen, your boards of supervisors, to be sure. This is something I've been working on for 2 months with the current agencies and their vendors. There's some unintended consequences. I'm going to support this legislation, but I want you to be aware and start making those phone calls, because we're going to need to hang on to a piece of legislation, because it was the intent of this body that these projects be funded. As of today, I'm going to read a list of cities that will not be reimbursed as of today. This is not all of them. This is the first of some others that I'm expecting. City of Carthage, $855,974. City of Columbus, $212,290. City of Hernando, $189,531. City of Fulton, $1,540,000. City of Horn Lake, $727,500. City of Water Valley, $281,435. Senators, I do not represent any of these particular cities or these particular projects, but serving you as your chair of municipalities, I'm bringing it to your attention now before it's too late. Please call your mayors and your aldermen and discuss these projects. There is going to be another list of them, and I'm asking the chair and the vice chair to be sure that we hold on to a piece of legislation to address these and other issues. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Senator McMahon. Senator Jordan, for what purpose? You for a question, Senator McMahon? Senator Jordan, you're recognized.
Those unintended consequences you're talking about, were those the one you were just naming?
Those are
a
firm list that I have received as of this week. There are other projects or portions of projects within cities that are not going to be funded through the ARPA. The money's going to be clawed back because the projects have not been approved. And the reason I'm sharing it with you now is because we're running out of time to have a vehicle to do anything with it. And I do not represent any of those particular cities, but I'm extremely concerned about the cities that are not going to be reimbursed. And there are some cities, there are some other cities and projects that I'm going to have that list, I hope, before the week's out.
Well, we all are concerned about municipalities. That's why I'm asking you the question. So there are more. You have an idea how many there are?
What I've just read, these 7 are the only firm that I've received, but there will be others. And the agency heads want to help, but I'm sharing with you that there are some unintended consequences of the ARPA laws that we passed, and some of these cities are going to have their money clawed back because they're not going to be approved.
Okay. I just wanted the information, needs that information. Thank you very much, sir.
I just wanted to alert this body before we lost every vehicle to do anything with it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Man.
Thank you, Senator Jordan. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, there are cities that will not receive funding, and the reason they won't receive the funding is the ARPA bill that we passed was very specific in saying that all federal and state law must be followed. The ones that have been pointed out by Senator McMahon did not follow the procurement laws of Mississippi to the extent of the ability to be able to get reimbursed. That was determined by the contractor, Horn Group, that was hired to ensure that all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. It's a shame that that's happened. They're doing their best to work around and figure ways that we might be able to assist these communities, but in the end, they will, at this point, look like not receive their reimbursement. But that's the reason, is because the laws were not totally followed that needed to be to ensure reimbursement. So with that, Mr. President, I move the adoption of the amendment.
Senator has moved. Senator McMahon, for what purpose, sir?
Question.
You have a question, Senator?
I do.
Go forward, Senator McMahon.
So, Senator Polk, thank you for your comments, and I just wanted to redirect the funds that were originally sent to the cities from the federal government did not require those cities to follow state procurement laws. Do you agree with that?
That is correct.
Okay. So would you also agree that what the agencies and their vendor, I didn't say the vendor's name, I think you've said it, but their vendor, what they're doing is they're saying if they didn't follow state procurement laws on their own pot of money from the federal government, which they were not required to, but they're being excluded for using those funds, they're not being qualified because they didn't follow state procurement when they awarded those, but they did it in good faith because the rules didn't exist at the time. Would you agree with that?
I will agree that you and I worked and talked with engineers and others about this, and I know that Horn Group is relooking at their determination, and right now it's in their hands.
Yes, sir. It is. I support what you're doing here. I appreciate you. I just wanted to alert the body before we're out of time and we have no legislative vehicle left to address these particular funds. And you and I think you would agree, the large cities might find a way where they're not being reimbursed, that they can do something with it. But a small city that has committed $700,000, $800,000, $900,000, they have no way to recoup that, and they were not required. They were not required to meet state law when they spent their own federal dollars. Wouldn't you agree?
I would not agree to that because I'm not a legal enough mind to know if that is correct or not.
Okay. Thank you for your help, and I do appreciate you. I thought it was a good time to bring the body this information.
Senator Sparks, for what purpose?
A question, Mr.
You're
President.
here for a question, Senator Polk?
I do.
Senator Sparks, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the recent commentary, it just so happens I do represent the city of Fulton.
Say again?
I represent Fulton.
Yes.
If you're agreeing with Senator McMahon that they're going to have $1.5 roughly million that's not going to be approved, there's a couple of concerns. Number one, I spoke with the mayor right after the money was declared, which I think is what Senator McMahon is referring to, which was the city's direct appropriation from the federal government, which was under $1 million. It was approximately $900,000. I stood on the court square in Fulton, Mississippi, and begged her to wait because the lieutenant governor and other people were barnstorming the state saying, hold on to your money, be a good steward. We're going to create a program for you, and we did. This body created a 1-to-1 match for people that got over $1 million, and under $1 million was a 2-to-1 match. And I explained that to her, and she did exactly what we had hoped she would do. Is she did a water and sewer project. I apologize, I don't know exactly what it is in front of me, but if the contractor who is scoring or reviewing for compliance, if this is a state law technical thing that we've done, that's not an ARPA issue, then obviously as soon as we get off the floor today, I got to go figure out why the city of Fulton is about to lose $1.5 million that they followed the spirit of the program. But I just, it's super alarming under that situation. So is this the only vehicle left for ARPA money that this body's taking up right now?
Say that last part again.
Is this the only bill that's left that's addressing clawbacks and overflows and things of that nature?
Yeah. We have a Senate bill that's in the House right now, and we have reverse repealers in both. So we will have time to work on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you helping on that. Thank you.
Senator Williams, for what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Will you yield, Senator Polk?
I do.
Senator Williams is recognized.
Chairman, thank you. As I've served with you on this ARPA subcommittee and probably been privy to a little more conversations in the body here, this is about deliverables. As I understand it, this money that's being clawed back, if you will, is money that was awarded, that everybody followed, that Senator Sparks and Senator McMahon has talked to, but Horn has determined that they're not going to deliver the product to completion by 2026. Is that correct?
That's correct.
With that being the case, that money is going to have to be paid back to the federal government, correct? With that assumption?
Yes, unless we move it to an overflow fund like we're trying to do.
Yes, there's 7 specific projects that were mentioned here today, and I'm assuming the determination of the consultant that we paid, that we put on the hook to be responsible if we can't deliver, they've said that these 7 out of well over 100 projects, I think, that have been awarded at this point are ones that they're deeming that cannot be delivered in time, if I'm understanding it correct.
Well, cannot be delivered because of a fallacy in their procurement process.
Yes, sir. And this speaks to not the federal funds that went to the cities, but the federal funds, the $1.8 billion that went to the state, for which we're responsible for paying back if we don't deliver.
That is correct.
Again, going through the committee with you many times, I think this has been vetted heavily, and we've done everything we can. And there's been movement throughout this session where I think maybe some people came back and were able to deliver and we're still fluid till we get through session with that, I would assume. But there again, at the end of the day, if these things are not delivered, the state's on the hook to pay this money back. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Williams. Other questions? Senator Branning, for what purpose?
Question, Mr.
You
President.
for a question, Senator Poe?
I do.
Senator Branning, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you'll remember hearing the list called out, the city of Carthage was at the top of the list, which I represent, and I have been aware of the issue they've had since, well, before we came back in session. And my understanding, and this is a question to you to make sure that I'm correct in my understanding, is that they had an issue with a specific procurement item, I believe as it pertains to the advertising method. Maybe the rules changed and they switched to an online advertising requirement. Are you aware of the rule change that kind of happened in the midst of the process?
The rule change was not exactly a rule change. What the cities seem to have been forgetting is a part of the 1991 passed law regarding procurement in Mississippi, and they've been ignoring it for years. And since the Horn Group came in and started looking at everything, these communities did not follow those laws. Now, DEQ did make a change, but it was to enhance what they could do to try to get these communities to follow the law. And so they were warned, they were told, and the portal was changed.
Thank you for that. Would you be willing to work with me when we get through this process, this part today, to see what we could do to help the city of Carthage to, I guess, be in a better position to receive these funds? It would be detrimental to this town to lose almost $1 million. That's a lot of money for Carthage.
I will be glad to, and understand this. I understand that DEQ has done everything they can to work with these cities to find ways to make these plans work.
I believe they have to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. Questions? Senator McClendon, for what purpose?
Question, please.
You for a question, Senator? Senator McClendon is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also like to be added to that list of Senator Branning of helping the city of Hernando as well as the city of Horn Lake to see what they can do to rectify this situation.
Okay.
Thank
Do
you,
you
sir.
know if they've worked individually trying to work with DEQ to get that worked out? Or
They're
we'll
going
put
through
you on
every
the
channel
list.
they can. Yes, sir.
We'll put you on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator McClendon. Senator Boyd, for what purpose?
Question.
Were you for a question, Senator?
Yes.
Senator Boyd is recognized.
Senator Polk, as the cities are objecting to this, I just didn't know if you were also aware that the Rural Water Association and the Department of Health, that these same issues have progressed with this. I had one particular Rural Water Association that followed the guidelines that were on the website that allowed them to follow state law that were on the website. Those subsequently were changed, but they had gone ahead with their project following through with that. And I didn't know if you were aware of that, but that very much has happened to some of our rural water associations across the state as well.
Yes, I am aware that there's some issues there.
Senator Jordan, for what purpose?
Mr. President, I have a question for the chairman.
You're recognized for a question, Senator Jordan.
Yes. Senator Polk, has the Municipal League met with you all and discussed this? Because we are concerned about all the municipalities that may be losing money. Have you, anyone from the Municipal League spoken with you on the possibility that quite a few municipalities will be losing a great sum of money?
Senator, I've not heard from anyone from the Municipal League.
Are they, you don't know whether they are aware of what the potentials are?
Since I've not talked with them, I don't know.
And they haven't searched you out or anything. So you got 280 or more municipalities, and most of them will lose this money, and they're going to come looking for us. When I say us, I mean this body, and why they're losing. So I thought maybe there could be some communication between you and them, since there's a great potential there.
Yes,
but
no.
no one has consulted with you.
No, sir, they have not.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Jordan. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, Senator. Senator Pope.
Move the approval of strike all.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Okay?
Move the use of the morning roll call for the final passage.
Use of morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to the procedure? Wish to be recorded as voting no. Present. Seeing none, the bill passes by use of the morning roll call. Thank you, Senator Hobson. Thank you, Senator Pope.
Well, they paid it. Thank you, Mr. President. As we go to item 4 on the calendar and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1707, 2023 Local Improvement Project Fund, clarifying correct names and purposes of certain projects funded from.
I'll make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Thank you. I move adoption strike all. Ask to be recognized to explain.
You're recognized to explain the strike-off, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the House version of the same bill that we've already passed. We like to keep 2 vehicles alive for this in case there are any projects, anything that we find out later on from last year's project bills that need to be corrected. So it's right now we've got both vehicles alive. There is one change in this in line 498 where we had sent money to the town of Summit, $250,000 for a new fire truck. They wanted that to go to Pike County instead of the town of Summit, Pike County, Mississippi. That's the only change to the other bill that we've already passed. And if there are no questions, I move adoption to strike all.
Senator, questions? Questions?
If none, I move adoption to strike all.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator.
Now I'll move passage of 1707 by use of the morning roll call.
Use of morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to the procedure? Vote is no. Present. Seeing none, bill passes by use of the morning roll call. Thank you, Senator Hobson. Senator Harkins, you're recognized. We're on item 5, Senate, on the calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to go to item 5, Senate Bill 624, and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 624, income tax, reenact and extend repeal or on credit for certain railroad expenditures.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is the same version of the Senate language we passed on the short line railroad tax credit extension. The only difference is this one has a 3-year repealer in it instead of a 4. And that's the explanation of the difference in the bill. This is tax credit for the short line railroad industry that's spurned over about $42.5 million of rail infrastructure investment in the last 2 years in about 29 counties across the state. It's done work on short line railroads in Grenada, in Itawamba County, Natchez, Port Bienville, Vicksburg, between Union and Philadelphia, and rail near Clarksdale. It's done a lot. There's about 1,600 miles of short line track, and a lot of it needs to be updated, and that's what this tax credit goes to. So that is the explanation of the bill. I'll yield for any questions. If not, I use morning roll call for final passage.
Okay, questions on the bill? Seeing none, use of the morning roll call been requested. No object to the procedure? Or is voting no? Present. Bill passes by use of the morning roll call. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to go to item 6, House Bill 776, and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill 776, alcoholic beverages, revised definition of qualified resort area under the local option alcoholic beverage control law.
I'll make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a House bill that we're going to basically make the same deal as we did on a Senate bill. It's going to be an omnibus resort status bill. This bill particularly deals with a area where Highway 45 and 145 and Highway 370 and Highway 145 intersect to be a resort status. That's the initial thrust of the bill. We put a reverse repealer in the strike all, and it'll go to conference, and we'll use one of the Senate or the House bill to do an omnibus resort status bill for all of your requests for resort status. That is the explanation of the bill. If there are no questions, I move adoption of the strike all.
Questions on the bill? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No? No? The ayes have it.
All right, no further questions. I move final passage on the morning roll call.
Use of morning roll call has been requested. Did anyone object to the procedure? Or is voting no? Chisholm, no. Parker, no. Hill, no. Norwood, no. Tate, no. Branning, no. Fraser, no. Anyone? Brumfield, no. Anyone else? Anyone else? Bill passes with the noes noted. Senator Harkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to skip items 7 through 14, have them retain their place on the calendar, go to item 15, House Bill 1620, and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1620, use tax, revise certain provisions regarding funds distributed to municipalities and counties for infrastructure assistance.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
Mr. President, I move we adopt the strike all and recognize Senator Branning to explain it.
Senator Branning's recognized on the strike all amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 1620 deals with use tax for our cities and counties. We are simply inserting the Senate language here that you have seen before, and it just clarifies that the use tax dollars may be used for personal property and equipment only when they are needed for road and utility infrastructure repair. That is the explanation of the strike all, and the motion is that we do adopt the strike all.
Questions on the strike all? Questions on the strike all? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
Final passage on the morning roll call, please.
Use of morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to procedure? Or is voting no? Present?
Thank you.
Seeing none, the bill passes by use of the morning roll call. Senator Harkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to skip items 16 through 18, have them retain their place on the calendar.
16 to 18 retains their place on the calendar. Thank you, Senator Harkins. 19, motions to reconsider. Motions to reconsider. Seeing none. Motions, I'm sorry, Senator Kirby, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call up item 21, SCR 540.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Please read.
Senate concurrent resolution number 540, recognize legacy of Rosie S. Simmons as the first African American since Reconstruction to serve as Bolivar County Circuit Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, Senator McClendon held this on a motion to reconsider and had good reason for doing so. Yesterday, when we brought this up, I failed to mention that Rosie Simmons, who from Bolivar County, the Circuit Clerk, I failed to mention that's Senator Sarita Simmons' mother, and Commissioner Willie Simmons' mother, and or I'm sorry, sister. Aunt, what is she, grandmother? Anyway, it's her mother. So, anyway, I failed to mention that. You can bring the thumb back now. And I think I should have. And so the reason I wanted to bring it back up also is I know by mentioning that several of you may want to sign on as a co-author on that bill. So if there are no questions, I'm going to ask now that we table the motion to reconsider. It is your aunt, right? I'm kidding.
All in favor of tabling the motion, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, Senator. None opposed. All right, pick up your trophy and head back. All right, now, moving back, a motion to reconsider the remaining ones retain their place on the calendar. Concurrence or non-concurrence? Concurrence or non-concurrence? Retains their place on the calendar through 27. Obviously, appropriations and conference is not. So we'll go to the general calendar. Senator Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. With unanimous consent, I'd like to be added as a co-author on the item we just tabled, Senate Concurrent Resolution number 540.
Senator Parker, Senate Concurrent Resolution. Thank you. I'm going to assume that all senators want to be co-authors unless you tell the secretary. And if you do that before, right after we leave here or any time before we leave this morning, otherwise we'll put everybody down because I see all the hands. Okay, moving right along, we'll go to the general, 32. Senator Fillingame, pass and retain 32 through 38. 39. Hold, pass and retain 40, 41, 42, 43, Senator. 45, Senator Younger, pass and retain. 46, 47, 48, Senator Branning, pass and retain. 49, 50, 51, and 52, pass and retain. 53, Senator Parker, pass and retain. Senator Parker, 54, pass and retain. 55, pass and retain. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Senator Michelle would be on 61, sir? Okay. Senator Michelle is recognized. All of the above keep their place on the calendar. And Senator Michelle is recognized on 61.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask that the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill Number 819, Insurance Remove Filing Fee on Auto Cancellation or Non-Renewal Appeals and Exempt Lifeline Applicants from Pre-Licensing Requirements.
I'd like to make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a Department of Insurance omnibus bill with 4 parts that will improve the process of access for insurance in Mississippi. It authorizes the Health Insurance Risk Pool Association to establish an online portal to assist Mississippians in selecting a health plan. This make it easier to enter their specific information, and they'll be able to select the plan that's best for them. It also establishes additional ethical standards for public adjusters. This will ensure that they don't have a conflict of interest nor any financial interest with the repair or the claim. It also exempts life insurance sales applicants from pre-licensing requirements to be in line with 36 other states, and it removes a $15 filing fee for anyone who has an auto appeal. It's an unnecessary fee. The Insurance Commissioner's Office is glad to do this without any fee necessary, and they're going to help them regardless without charging this $15 fee. It doesn't amount to much. It's kind of an onerous thing for your consumers. I'll be glad to yield any questions on this. I'd like to move passage by use of the morning roll call, Mr. President.
Senator Hill, for what purpose, ma'am?
Question.
You for a question, Senator Michelle?
Yes.
Senator Hill's recognized.
I'm looking at the language on the high-risk pool online portal, which I think that's probably a good thing. But do you remember some years ago there was a bill, I don't remember if you were here or not at that time, but there was a bill on the floor to dissolve the high-risk pool?
I don't remember that.
Okay, well, we passed a bill to dissolve the high-risk pool, so apparently the high-risk pool is being or has been reconstituted?
It's my understanding, and this will help outline the plans that are available to help the consumers pick their best plan for them.
Okay, I voted against and spoke against dissolving the high-risk pool because they thought that we didn't need it anymore with Obamacare. So I'm glad to see that they're trying to reinstitute something that worked. I've always believed if it's not broken, don't fix it. So looks like we're headed back in the right direction on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? We do. Senator Hobson, for what purpose, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just trying to get a little bit more clarification for what this bill does, Senator.
On all four sections?
Well, just
Which part?
what's the part about the public adjuster on claims? for
Bringing
benefit?
ethical standards into it. One good example would be like what occurred at Rolling Fork. The public adjusters come in there, and they do serve a purpose because they help on big national disasters like that. But it would prevent them from charging a fee for a settlement that an insured has already made with their insurance company. They would only participate in a fee for any amount over and above the amount that the insured has already agreed to.
So that's what I need to understand. So if let's just say for round numbers, if the insurance company's offered $1 million to settle a claim for damages to a building, if they come in and adjust it and say that we think we can get you $2 million or $2.5 million, their fee would only be on the 1.5 million extra. They couldn't get any percentage of the first amount. What if you negotiated a fee with them to reduce the amount from what they would otherwise collect on that delta between 1 and 2.5, that they would give a small fee on the original 1 million, but for a much smaller fee on the delta amount?
Well, that's not included in this legislation. The intent would be that they'd already worked that out with their insurance company, and really the public adjuster hadn't performed any work to get compensated for that.
Well, my experience is that you can negotiate down on the overall amount. A lot of them will come in and say 10%. That's a norm. That's a normal, I think, in the industry. But you can negotiate that down if you give a smaller amount on the first percentage, and that's sometimes to the benefit of the public entity, whether it be the state agency, school district, whatever. It seems like would we be tying the hands of our public entities by taking away that ability to negotiate a lower rate on the delta amount if they'll take a smaller amount on what's already offered by the insurance company?
Yes, the fees would be negotiable.
This would be negotiable, even on the amount that's been offered by the insurance company?
This would prohibit them from getting a fee for the amount that they've already agreed to, the insured and the insurance company, if they've already agreed to on that. So I guess you would, if that were the case and you had a $2 million settlement versus $1 million, you'd want to negotiate the fees between the $1 million and the $2 million because you'd already negotiated the first $1 million, and so it would reduce the fees for the insured.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. I mean, if anybody's negotiated it and you've agreed to a certain amount, then I don't see any reason that the public entity would agree to pay that percentage. But if the offer's been made, that's different. And I want to be clear: has the offer been made, or has that first amount been agreed to? It matters a lot in this, I think.
I don't know that I understand your question. The offer been made. Yeah,
Let me give it to you in a hypothetical again, using the $1 million versus $2.5 million sought by the adjuster. If they've offered $1 million, but the insured, the public agency has not agreed to that, can the public adjuster get a percentage of that amount?
It's my understanding they would be able to, because the statement I made was they'd already agreed and already reached an agreement on that first $1 million. And what you're saying is they have not reached an agreement on that yet. They've made an offer and they've not agreed to it. Okay. They don't have a contract.
Does this have a reverse repealer in it?
I'm not aware that it does.
I'd like to take a look at it. My concern, Senator, I mean, I understand what you're trying to do. My real concern is that you may tie the hands of the public entity and get a better deal on the overall amount by agreeing to a guaranteed amount on a guaranteed lower percentage on the
first
amount
amount
that's been offered. Yeah.
First amount. There's no reverse repealer in it.
Would you
You're welcome to offer
oppose me if I'll offer a reverse repealer on this so we can discuss it more? Thank you, Senator. Sorry.
Senator? We'll wait on the amendment, sir. Okay, we're waiting on him. Senator Bryan. For what purpose, sir?
A question.
Senator Michelle, will you yield for a
Yes.
question? Senator Bryan's recognized for a question.
Allow would be for your dentist to accept insurance payments as well as payments from you.
All right, so one of the comments that I got is our concern, if this code is not corrected, is that many dentists will not participate in dental insurance plans. We've had reports that complaints have been filed against 2 dentists to the insurance commissioner's
Senator,
office.
could you put your microphone closer to your mouth?
I'm sorry.
I can't hear you. Thank
This
you.
one message says, our concern is, if this code is not corrected, is that many dentists will not participate in dental insurance plans. We've had reports that complaints have been filed against 2 dentists in the insurance commissioner's office. One of the dentists has decided to stop taking insurance in his practice. The other has contacted her legal team and has been advised that the interpretation that dentists are included is wrong. So it seems to me that the amendment would clarify that dentists are not included in this interpretation.
Yes.
All right, so this bill will actually help dentists be able to continue to take insurance and bill their patients.
Yes. It'll help your local dentist.
All right. It seemed to me that this one texter was against the bill, but it sounds like there may be some confusion as to what the bill is actually trying to do.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Move passage by the use of morning roll call, Mr. President.
Further questions? 1 second, sir. Okay, lights off. Anyone else? Okay. Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to that procedure? Does anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Chisholm, no. Polk, no. Thompson, no. Seymour, no. Hill, no. Fillingane, no. Anyone else? No. England, no. Delano, no. Ladner, no. Anyone else? Anyone else? Present. Parker, present. Branning, present. Carter, present. Horn, no. Horn, no. Barnett, no. Barnett, no. Jordan, no. Norwood, no. Butler, no. Anyone else? Anyone else? Present? Any present? Barrett? Present. Brumfield? Present. Brumfield? Present. Anyone else? Okay. 1 second. Senator Horn, for what purpose?
To the vote.
Please proceed.
No to present.
No to present. Bill passes 13-6, 5 present. Means 13 noes and 6 present, I'm sorry. So, but the bill passes. All right, we're back on the calendar. Okay, that was 62. Senator Michelle, pass and retain. 63. I'm sorry, who? 63 and 64. Judd B. 65 and 67, Senator Fillingham, thank you. Senator McCon, pass and retain. 68. 69, thank you, Senator England. 70, 71, 72. Judd A. Senator Wiggins, you're recognized. Which bill, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we pass and retain items 71 to 74 and go to item 75.
75, Senate. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1086, land petitions, revised provision that regulate.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Partitions are where judges divide land in certain circumstances, and what the optimum language does in the House bill is that it simply allows the judge to order somebody who's on the land and remove only his or her property. That's what it does. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions on the bill? Seeing none, Senator. Whoa, Senator Delano, for what purpose?
Question.
You for a question, Senator?
Yes.
Senator Delano, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, there's been quite a few issues where we've had squatters that have come in on property. Is this bill trying to address any of those issues, or is it helping judges remove squatters from property?
I've not been told that's the intent, but reading the language as it says, it does allow that.
It gives the court or the judges more discretion in
Correct.
trying to remove people who are illegally on property or trespassing?
Yeah, we're getting a little nuanced, but when you're dealing in partition actions, but in effect, it is giving the court that authority to allow someone.
Thank you. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Bryan, for what purpose, sir?
A question.
For you, Senator.
I do.
Senator Bryan is recognized for a question on the bill.
Are we considering co-tenants to be squatters?
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I said I've not been told by anybody that that's what the intent of this is, but.
Well, of course, a co-tenant is not a squatter. A co-tenant has a legal right to occupy the premises.
Right. And the bill said, the bill makes no reference to squatters. It simply says tenants, tenant in common, co-parsoner, any other person who's on the land.
Well, what line is that on?
Line 38
Thank
to
you.
41. If no further questions, move passage on the morning roll call, Mr. President. Oh.
Do we have a strike call, Senator?
There's no strike all. I know that's what that says. Mr. President, I move to lay it on the table subject to call so that we can determine if there's a strike call. I don't have that that's the case, but the calendar says there is.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Lays it on the table. We begin on 76, 77. Senator Thompson, we're on 77, or whichever one.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's item number 70.
39, riparian rights revised, what may be included in.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. President. I
One
have an
second,
amendment.
Senator, will come. You have an amendment, Senator?
Yes, sir. I'd ask to be recognized to explain the amendment.
You're recognized to explain the amendment, and we have a question from Senator Bryan. Senator Bryan? One second, don't have your mic on. Senator Bryan? It says it's on up here.
Mr. President, at the appropriate time, I'd like to enter a motion to reconsider.
Okay. As soon as we finish this, we'll come back to you for a motion to reconsider, Senator. Okay. We're ready for you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, House Bill 1439 addresses the riparian rights along certain state-owned lands in Hancock County, Mississippi. Under current law, riparian rights adjacent are the rights that extend into the water bottom off of the upland owner's property. Those riparian rights extend out 750 yards, except for certain specific areas. Under current law, the riparian rights for the state-owned land off of Deer Island have been reduced to 400 yards to allow the Department of Marine Resources to permit some of that land for oyster production. This bill proposes to reduce the riparian rights for certain state-owned lands off the Hancock County coastline between Bayou Caddy and the Mississippi-Louisiana state line to 300 yards in order to make more permitted area available for oyster production. This bill does not affect the riparian rights for private land that is in the same area. It only affects the state-owned property. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. If there are none, I move for adoption of the amendment.
Okay, questions on the amendment first. Questions on the amendment. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. If there are no questions on the bill as amended, I would move for passage by the morning roll call.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The strike-all is adopted. We're ready for the motion, Senator.
Motion is for passage on the morning roll call.
Anyone object to the procedure? Court is voting no. Present. Thank you, Senator. Bill passes by use of the morning roll call. At this point, we'll recognize Senator Polk and I'm sorry, Senator Bryan, for your motion.
I'd like to enter a motion to reconsider on House Bill 1086, dealing with partition.
Is that number 75, Senator?
Yes, it's number 75. Thank you.
It's been laid on the table subject to call, Senator. It was not passed. Okay, thank you very much, Senator. Senator Wiggins. Good. Senator Wiggins is good. We'll begin here back, and I encourage everyone to be as aware of the matters on the calendar as possible as we work through the calendar this afternoon. Senator Polk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess until 2 p.m.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Stand in recess.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to have the title read on item 79, called up and read.
Senator calls up item 79, House Bill 7070. Please read the title.
House Bill number 770, Mississippi Office of Workplace Development, extend exemption from Public Procurement Review Board rental agreement requirements.
Senator, you're recognized, Senator.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Sparks.
I'd like to be recognized to explain the strike off.
Okay, Senator, you're recognized to explain.
770 is a bill where we've inserted the Senate language that we passed that is for the Office of Workforce Development that addressed a rental or leasing opportunity that they had. Our language was for 1 year. The House language was for 3 years. We have put in the 1 year of our Senate language. That is an explanation of strike all. I would yield to any questions.
All right, any questions on the strike all? Senator England, you have an introduction. You want to do that right now before we go to the next?
Yes, Mr. President, I have an introduction out of order.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Senators, if you'll look in the South Gallery, we have some of our great supervisors from Jackson County, Mr. Enid Morris and Mr. Barry Cumbus. So on behalf of Senator Bryce Wiggins, Senator Mike Seymour, and myself, let's please make them feel welcome.
Welcome to the Senate. Thank you, Senator. Senator Pope for questions.
Question, Mr. President.
You yield, Senator Pope.
I yield.
Senator, you're
Thank you, Mr.
recognized.
President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So are you saying that we are giving them exemption for 1 year?
1 year is the Senate position, and that's the language that we put in here. It was what we passed in the Senate bill earlier, and so that's the purpose of the strike off, 1 year.
And they will not have to answer to the procurement board during that time?
For that 1 year for the purpose of leasing, and part of that was due to their office space that they recently were able to obtain. The additional year is in response to the 2 economic development projects, just in case they had to do something with a rental agreement in relation to the duties that they've been tasked with. They also, for I guess, added layer of protection, they have to respond to the SWIB board, so the SWIB board would still have to sign off on anything that they would do in that regard.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Jordan, do you have a question?
No, sir. Just an introduction.
Okay, hold on, Senator. We'll get it in just a minute. Senator Robinson. Okay, well, there's not any other questions. Let's finish this and then the introductions, if you would.
If there are no further questions, Mr. President, I would move for adoption of the strike all.
Senator moves for adoption of the strike all. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. The ayes have it. The strike all is amended. Senator?
If there are no further questions, I'd move for passage on the morning roll call.
Seeing no further questions, Senator suggests use morning roll call final passage. Anyone object to this procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Present. Senator Pope. Any others? Seeing no others, please record all others present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. Now, Senator Jordan first for introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate helped make welcome one of the best soloists in Greenwood from Bimbalao Church, Mr. Marcus Cooper. He's gathered. Let's give him a round of applause for Greenwood.
Welcome to the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Robinson for
Thank you,
introduction.
Mr. President. An introduction out of order, please.
You're recognized.
If you would turn your attention to the South Gallery, it's my pleasure to introduce to all of you Brandy and Ken Johnson, who are the proud parents of Mason Johnson, who is the Mississippi Economic Council Star Student, and he is a senior at South Jones, and he's going to attend Ole Miss. Would you all please stand and let us make you welcome to your capital?
Welcome to your capital. Senator McMahon for an introduction.
Introduction out of order.
You're recognized.
In the West Gallery, I would ask some guests to stand on behalf of Senator Bryan and myself. We have a pastor and his wife, Jeff and Sherry Robbins. In addition, we have Kenneth and Cheryl Wheeler, who are board members of King City King City Care. And we also have Tiffany Phillips representing the Michael Hall Foundation from Lee County, Mississippi. Let's make them feel welcome.
Welcome to your Senate. Okay, no other introductions. We'll go to item number 80. Pass and retain item 80. Keep its place on the calendar. Number 81, Senator Simmons. Senator Simmons, Derek Simmons, pass and retain. Senator Boyd, 82. Senator Boyd will pass and retain that item. 83. We'll pass and retain 84. Then we'll go down to Senator Polk, item 85, House Bill 845. Senator Polk, pass and retain. Okay. All the way, hold on. All the way through item 92 will pass and retain. Thank you, Senator Polk. Senator DeBar, item 93. Pass and retain that item as well, all the way through all the way through 99. Senator will pass and retain those items. Next, Senator Michelle, 100. Senator Michelle asks that we pass items 101, 102. They retain their place on the calendar. Senator Turner Ford, 103. We'll pass and retain that item. 104, Senator Fillingane. 104 through 109 will pass and retain those items. Senator Turner Ford again on item 110 will pass and retain. 111, Senator Inkland. Pass and retain. Senator Whaley, 112. Pass and retained. Senator Blunt, item 113. Pass and retained. Senator England again on 114, 15, 16. We'll go to item 117. Senator Williams, pass and retain. 118 is Senator Carter. Senator Carter will pass and retain. So that would be 118 through 122, and we'll go to item 123. Senator Boyd will pass and retain. 124, Senator Polk. Suspend the rules and go back to one. Oh, no, we're on that one now. Senator Carter? Which item, please? 118 and 119. Okay.
Let's skip item 118, have its place retained on the calendar, go to 119, have title read.
Please read the title.
House Bill number 1583, Consumer Freedom of Choice and Appliances Act create.
Make the use of motion.
Senator makes use of motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Carter.
So this is the Consumer Freedom, Choice, and Appliances Act. We passed the Senate bill earlier. This was the bill that Senator Chazanall presented in front of the body. It basically prevents the banning of gas appliances, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Okay, are there any questions? See no questions, Senator.
I move passage on the morning roll call.
Senator suggests use morning roll call, final passage. Anyone object to this procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Senator Bryan, no. Anyone else, no? Anyone present? Seeing none, please record all others present by the use of the morning roll call as voting aye. Senator 120, Senator Carter, 120.
Call up item 120 on today's calendar, have a title read.
121, did you say, or 120?
120.
120, House Bill 1648. Please read the title.
House Bill number 1648, electronic bids, authorize public utilities to provide system for submittal of as additional option.
Make the use of motion.
Senator makes usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Carter.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is a bill that we passed earlier. This is the House version of it. This basically, the energy companies can accept bids electronically on construction versus written bids, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Are there any questions? I see no questions, Senator.
I move passage on the morning roll call.
Senator suggests the use of morning roll call, final passage. Anyone object?
Yes, sir.
Any senator wish to be recorded as voting no? Present. Seeing none, please recall all present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. The bill is passed. Senator 121.
I ask that 121 be called up and title read.
Please read the title.
House Bill number 1664, acceptance or offer of gifts, revised provisions relating to.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed no. The ayes have it. Senator Carter.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this bill, this is about the Public Service Commission and how they accept gifts. If you look at line 51, it basically says a person shall not be considered a covered person under the section based solely on such person submitting a customer complaint or inquiry, formal or informal, to the Public Service Commission or public utility staff concerning service, billing, or other aspect of service provided by a public utility to such person. It basically excludes any agent or legal representative of telephone, gas, water, wastewater, or electric public utility as defined in section 77-3-3. And this just narrows who can actually donate to the Public Service Commission. We're trying to make sure that we have a transparent process in which they operate, and there's accountability there. And I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Are there any questions? See no questions, Senator, motion.
Move passage on the morning roll call.
Senator suggests the use of morning roll call, final passage. Anyone object? Any senator wish to be recorded as voting no? Present. Seeing none. Present.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Seeing none, please record all others present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. We go to item 122, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that 122 be called up and the title read.
Please read the title.
House Bill number 1350, telephone solicitors prohibit from making any solicitation regarding Medicare Advantage plans.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye. All opposed no. The ayes have it. Senator Carter.
So I have an amendment to this bill, but I'll explain it first. Basically, what this does is it adds the Medicare Advantage plans to the no-call list at the Attorney General's office. But I want to add a reverse repealer to this because after it passed committee, there were some concerns, and I want to make sure that we continue to work on this bill. I don't want to pass anything unless it's absolutely correct. So there should be an amendment on the table.
You have the amendment? Okay, you're recognized for the amendment.
I ask that y'all vote for the amendment.
Any questions on the amendment? All in favor say aye. All opposed no. The ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. Senator Carter.
I move passage on the morning roll call as amended.
Senator suggests use of morning roll call for final passage. Anyone object to this procedure? Any senator wish to be recorded as voting no? Aye. I mean none. Present. I meant to say Senator Horn. Present. Senator Horn. Present. Anyone else present? Okay. Seeing no others, please record all others present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. All right. We go to Senator Boyd, 123. We'll pass and retain. Senator Polk, 124. Pass and retain. Senator Silver, 125.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call up Item 125, House Bill 974, and that the title be read.
Please read the title.
House Bill number 974, State Board of Mental Health authorized DFA to sell and convey certain real property on behalf to the city of Water Valley, Mississippi.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye. All opposed? No. The ayes have it. Senator Suber.
I'd move to call it to strike all and explain the bill, please.
You're recognized to explain the strike all.
All right, this allows the Department of Finance Administration to transfer a piece of property back to the city of Water Valley. Water Valley had transferred it to the state a few years ago, and they no longer need the property, so just transferring it back. Be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions on the strike all? No questions, Senator.
I move to adopt the strike all.
Senator moves we adopt the strike all. All in favor say aye. All opposed no. The ayes have it. Strike all has been approved. Senator.
I'd move to use the morning roll call for final passage.
Seeing no questions, Senator suggests use the morning roll call final passage. Any senator object? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Present? Seeing none, please record all present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. Senator?
I'd ask to move item 126 to the hill of the calendar.
Senator asks that we move 126 to the hill of the calendar. We'll go to 127, Senator DeBar. Senator Hickman, do you wish to be recognized? For what purpose?
Introduction to guests, Mr. President.
You're recognized for introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, if you would, focus your attention to the South Gallery. Very, very important person to me is here. My law partner, Denise Fondren, is over in the gallery. If you would stand, Denise. And also another attorney, Brooke Reeves, is here. So that's on behalf of myself and Senator Nicole Roy. Y'all please make them feel welcome to the Senate.
Welcome to your Senate. Senator Michelle, for what purpose?
Introduction, please.
You're recognized for an introduction.
Thank you. In the North Gallery, we also have a great group here with us today. These people are from the St. Augustine School in Ridgeland, Mississippi. They're the junior high youth legislature. Would y'all stand when we recognize you? They're competing this weekend in the Youth Legislature Conference taking place at the Old Capitol. And last year, this group took home several outstanding legislator awards. And Kaylin Simmons received the overall highest award for outstanding statesman. We're real proud of them. With them is one of the leaders is our good friend Lindsey Simmons. Would you stand too, Lindsey? And thank y'all for being with us today, and welcome to the State Senate.
Welcome to your Senate. Okay, we're back. Anyone else? Seeing none. Senator Barr, did you wish to pass and retain 127 and 128? They'll pass and retain their place on the calendar. Senator Whaley, 129. Senator Whaley, pass and retain. Senator Bryan, item 130.
I would ask that we pass item 130, let it retain its place on the calendar, and go to item 131.
130 will pass and retain its place on the calendar. Go to item 131. Please read the title.
House Bill number 315, Mississippi Code modernized technology by replacing mentally retarded with intellectual disability.
Senator Bryan.
I make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. The ayes have it. Senator Bryan.
I move adoption of the amendment, and I would like to be recognized to speak on it.
You're recognized to speak on the amendment.
This bill is one of several that have the same feature in common, which is they're bills with a large number of code sections, and is a matter of procedure and all. I think the best thing to do is to, if the Senate agrees, send those bills to conference so that we can make sure the code sections here, yonder, there don't get out of line, and it will give us an opportunity to study more carefully the actual text of the bill. What this does, and it's a prime example, is it replaces the term mentally retarded with the term intellectual disability, which I think is something all of us would like to do in the code. We just need to make sure we conform those code sections to any other changes that might be made in the process. The strike all just brings forward everything with a reverse repealer. If there are no questions, I move adoption of the strike all.
Seeing no questions, the senator moves for adoption of the strike all amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Bryan.
I suggest use of the morning roll call.
Any questions? Senator suggests use morning roll call for final passage. Any senator object? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Present. Seeing none, please record all present by use of morning roll call as voting aye. Senator Bryan.
Go to the next item and ask that the title be read.
Item 132, House Bill number 764. Please read the title.
House Bill number 764, State Department of Health and State Board of Health, extend repealer on.
Senator Bryan.
I make the usual motion.
Senator, make your usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Bryan.
I move adoption of the amendment, and I would like to be recognized to speak on it.
You are recognized to speak on the strike all amendment.
This is a strike all that brings forward all the code sections dealing with the State Board of Health, and it has a reverse repealer. The underlying bill extends the repealer. The board is set to sunset this year. In particular, in the powers and duties section, I hope to get properly phrased language that would require the State Department of Health to look comprehensively at state care at health care throughout the state, and to require other agencies to cooperate with them in doing that. If you'll think for a moment, for example, the Department of Corrections has a huge contract involving health care for inmates. Well, that has implications and possibilities way beyond what's going on with the Department of Corrections. The Department of Health, as I see it, would not have any authority to make the Department of Corrections do a thing in the world. All they do is have authority to find out what's going on and look comprehensively at other things that might be available and how those funds might be used to shore up other operations. So that's what and that's what the bill does. If there are no questions, I move adoption of the amendment, and then I suggest use of the morning roll call.
Okay, any questions on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. Senator suggests the use of the morning roll call for final passage. Anyone object to this procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Present. Seeing none, please record all present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. Bill's been adopted. Senator Bryan.
I go to item 133 and ask that the title be read.
Please read the title.
CON, remove chemical dependency services and facilities and psychiatric residential treatment facilities from CON law.
I make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Bryan.
I move adoption of the amendment. I'd like to be recognized to explain it.
You're recognized to explain the strike all amendment.
This is a certificate of need bill. The House has sent us a bill targeted in the most general terms with matters in the area of chemical dependency and psychiatric services. It would be my intention really to focus on those areas, and for lack of a better way to phrase it, probably do less than the House did. My intention would be to focus on specific things, and there may be specific matters outside those core areas, but it is not my intention, and I can assure you it's not the intention of my counterpart in the House to do anything broad-reaching, but there are narrow changes that I think, and targeted changes that I think might be useful. That's what my intention does. If there are no questions, I move adoption of the amendment and then suggest use of the morning roll call.
Okay, there is a question on the amendment. Senator Turner Ford on the amendment.
Yes, Mr. President.
You yield, Senator Turner Ford.
Yes.
Senator, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, do you have any information about the beds, the number of beds that are occupied during the course of the year?
I'm sorry, do I have
information about the number of beds that are occupied during the course of a year pertaining to the chemical dependency?
I don't have that information with me. I'm sure I can get it. It's my understanding that certainly in the area of chemical dependency, the numbers would be very high.
And has Medicaid indicated a need for additional beds?
I'm sure that we could use more chemical dependency beds.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Any other questions on Senator Hill on the amendment? You yield, Senator Hill.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry,
yes.
my fault. Senator Hill.
Senator Bryan, I appreciate you doing good work on public health. My question is, you know, we've got CONs for all kind of stuff, for everything, for MRI machines and everything. Do you have any idea or know why we're starting with chemical dependency and these type services to remove the CONs?
It's not my position that we should remove CONs in those areas. The State Department of Health has been looking at certificates of need, and the bill that's before us is very close to a recommendation from the State Department of Health.
But this doesn't actually do what the bill title says. This doesn't actually repeal the CONs for those services? Or maybe I'm looking at the wrong bill.
The bill sent to us from the House does those things. It very closely aligns with what the recommendation was from the State Department of Health. My position is we should consider doing something in those areas, but probably more targeted than simply removing the certificate of need process.
Well, my concern potentially would be that, you know, I don't know how much you or anybody else reads on social media, but my concern
Well,
would be...
mercifully, I can answer that question. Mercifully, I do not read things.
You're probably better off, but what I was going to say...
I certainly am.
Some of these folks that are out there pushing this specific CON seems to be some of the people that want drug legalization. So I kind of have a question as to if they want drug legalization, they want CONs removed for treatment centers, what their real motive might be, but maybe I shouldn't go there. But thank you, Senator.
I don't know who those people are that are on social media, but to be delicate, I'll just say my views are a bit different than theirs. I suggest use the morning roll call.
All right, Senator, well, we need to adopt the strike call. I don't think we've done that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The strike call is adopted. And now the senator, seeing no questions, that suggests the use of one roll call final passes. Any senator object? Any senator wish to be recorded as voting no? Present, no. Senator Chisholm. No. Present, Senator Hill. Anyone else? Seeing no others, please record all others present by the use of one roll call as voting aye. The bill's been adopted. Senator 134.
I would like to pass that item, let it retain its place on the calendar, and go to item 135.
Pass and retain item 134. Go to item 135. House Bill number 1640. Please read the title.
House Bill number 1640, Mental Health, Revised Procedures for Screening, Evaluation, and Commitments for Those with Issues of.
Senator Bryan.
I make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The aye has it. Senator Bryan.
I move adoption of the amendment. I would like to explain it.
You recognize to explain the strike call.
The thrust of the bill that the House sent us is our continuing effort to, in fact, make sure that people who have mental health problems are treated in a facility that's designed to treat them and that they not be placed in jail. It's my opinion that the bill that came from the House is a bit more specific and directory than we should be. But there's no difference between my goal and the goal of the people in the House, and I think the goal of the overwhelming number of people in this legislature. There are several problems in this area. And both of them are improving, but they need more work. One is the lack of a facility, a place where individuals can go, particularly individuals who are violent, and receive treatment at a reasonable price. That situation's getting better. There are more facilities that are available. There are crisis stabilization units that are available. there are more facilities in more places in the state. But we still need to work on that, because if there's no place for an individual to go that's really a practical alternative to jail, you've just got that real world problem to deal with. The second thing that we're dealing with is what, in fact, human beings on the ground do. What does the law enforcement officer do when he gets a call? What does the chancery clerk or the deputy do when someone shows up and wants to file commitment papers? What happens after commitment papers are filed? On and on and on. And so there's also an education process going on and some changes in law, all of which trying to move in concert the facilities and what's available on the ground, coupled with more and more restrictions in all about, frankly, keeping people in jail. We're not moving as quickly as any of us would like, but we are moving at a decent rate. This particular bill, the amendment is just an amendment for purposes of going to conference. It just deals with one section, but that's what the amendment does. That's what the bill does. I move adoption of the amendment and suggest use of the morning roll call.
Thank you, Senator. We do have a question. Senator Sparks. Senator Sparks, do you have a question?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Do you yield, Senator Sparks? Senator
Yes.
Bryan? Senator Sparks.
Thank you, Senator Bryan. The community health centers, and I want to make sure to understand, it's like Region 4 in my area. That's what we're talking about.
Say this again now.
Like Region 4 in our area.
Is community mental health center.
Yes, and I understand, and I know you're trying to get to conference, so I'm not going to belabor it, but practicing law, criminal law particularly, the concern that I hear repeatedly, and it may be what you're trying to address in this legislation, is that if there's a call that goes out to law enforcement that someone is in a state of disarray, they're going to go to jail in most situations, but certain places they're trying to put in, I think, stabilization units, crisis stabilization units. Is that part of this process of what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's so much noise in the background, and of course, yet again,
let's keep it quiet. Senator deserves to be heard, please.
I have a continuing objection to the sound system, as you know, but I think, Senator Sparks, that's the core of what we're trying to do. And you're explaining what goes on in the real world. Somebody calls the police, they call the sheriff goes out, and their thought is, if there's trouble here, we'll take somebody into custody. The desire is, if this is actually someone with a mental health problem, and that will be obvious more times than one might think, because there's small communities, everybody knows everybody, that instead of filing criminal charges and starting that process, that the individual could be transported to a crisis stabilization unit or some other place where they would get mental treatment and, for lack of a better word, I'm sure there's a more technical word, calm down. I try to do that from time to time, not always with success, but get stabilized. And if that takes place, in many circumstances, that will resolve the problem. There will be no law enforcement involvement at all. The individual will get better treatment, and one hopes get into a situation where there are follow-up services and care and on and on. That's what you described is the core of what one hopes would happen.
Because the only other option, if someone is having an episode, is that for the public safety, they got to do something. And right now, if there are no stabilization units, that something is most likely the county jail.
You're exactly right. That is the dilemma that we face. And as you accurately describe it, out there in the real world, if there's no alternative, that's what's going to happen. So we can pass laws down here all day, but unless people back home A, have an alternative, and B, use the alternative, we're going to still have people in the county jails.
Do we have any idea of what these stabilization units cost? Because I had spoken with one of the Region 4 directors, and interestingly enough, Tishomingo County is in the same region as DeSoto County, and they were trying to put a unit in DeSoto County. Do we look at the finances of these regions to say, can they afford the stabilization units, or are the counties expected to step up and pay for it?
There is funding from the state, and the state's been paying for a lot of stabilization units to get them up and going. The stabilization units have the same issues that a lot of other places have, which is it's just staffing and finding people that will work and paying competitive salaries and all. But in the long run, the crisis stabilization unit is much less expensive than a higher degree of institutionalization, and in the long run, it's a lot less expensive than jail.
And I agree with that, and the concern I have, of course, I don't represent DeSoto County, but since I happen to be in the same region with them, they have a unique concern that I have heard from many people in DeSoto County, is there are people from other counties or other states that somehow people who are having these moments get dropped off in DeSoto County. So, DeSoto County Sheriff's Department has to deal with them. So the stabilization unit is one step in the right direction. But I do want to make sure, I guess, and look at the funding. I have not delved deeply into how much funding Region 4 has, because if we build one in DeSoto County, I'm having to transport somebody from Tishomingo County over there or vice versa. But maybe we could look at each region to look at financially what they have as far as resources, and then looking at their needs for stabilization units.
I don't have a map in front of me, but their crisis stabilization unit's a lot closer to Tishomingo County than the one in DeSoto. DeSoto is an interesting situation. It's the only situation I know of where there's a non-contiguous county, but DeSoto County was in a district where they were very unhappy, and they wanted to move to District 4, which is the Corinth, Tishomingo County area, and that group of counties was happy for them to do so. So they voluntarily set that up. Maybe it's sort of like Michigan, and we're talking about the Upper Peninsula. But clearly there are different situations in DeSoto County than in those other areas. The solution is crisis stabilization units in and near Tishomingo County, and I'll get the map there. I know there's some close by. And again, throughout the state, as you go from place to place, they have different issues. And if DeSoto County is making the representation, they have a lot of spillover from Memphis. I'm sure that's true. I'll bet the folks in Shelby County bet the same representation about people from Mississippi and Arkansas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, seeing no further questions, Senators requested adoption of the strike all amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Amendment's adopted. Now the Senator has also requested morning roll call. But any questions on final passage? Seeing no further questions, Senator suggests the use of morning roll call final passage. Any Senator object? Any Senator wish to be recorded as voting no? Present? Seeing none, please record all present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. Bill's adopted. Senator Bryan.
I'd like to pass the next two items, let them retain their place on the calendar.
Senator Bryan asks that we pass and retain item 136 and 137. Senator Williams, for what purpose?
Yes, sir. I'd like to request that House Bill, item number 121, House Bill 1664, be held on a motion to reconsider, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Williams. Please join the chairman. All right, well, next one is item 138, Senator Suber.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call up item 138, House Bill 1207.
Please read the title.
House Bill number 1207, Alcorn University Extension Annex, renamed the Dr. Jesse Harness Senior Extension and Research Center.
Senator Suber.
I make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. Anyone object? All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The aye has it. Thank you. And Senator Schubert.
I've moved to adopt the strike all and recognize Senator Butler to explain the bill.
Senator, you're recognized to explain the strike all. Right?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very simple bill. What is happening here is that the Alcorn State University Alumni Association recommends that the Extension and Research Complex at Alcorn State University be named in honor of Dr. Jesse Harness, who devoted 35 years to the extension program and also to Alcorn State University. He developed and submitted the initial proposal to USDA and on behalf of the university to establish the facility. And after the project was funded, Dr. Harness was named by Dr. Walter Washington as president to head that program. So at this particular time, they recommended that the facility be named after Dr. Jesse Harness.
Okay. I'm sorry, Senator. Move for it. We're talking at the same time. You move for adoption of the strike all?
Yes, move for adoption of the strike all.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing no questions, it moves for adoption. Strike all. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The strike all is adopted. Now, Senator, you move. Use.
I so move that it be adopted on the morning roll call.
Senator, any further questions? The senator suggests the use of morning roll call final passage. Any senator object? Any senator wish to be recorded as voting no? Present? Seeing none, please record all present by the use of morning roll call as voting. Senator Chisholm? Senator Chisholm as present. Please record all others present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. Bill is passed. We'll go to Senator Johnson now. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator Johnson, one pass and retained all the way through 141. So 139, 140, and 141 will pass and retain their place on the calendar. We go to Senator Barr, 142, pass and retain, 142, 143, and 144 will pass and retain their place on the calendar. Senator Wiggins, 145. Senator Wiggins will pass and retain 145, 146, 7, 148, 149, 150. Well, how about we go all the way through 153. No, I'm sorry, 152, pass and retain. And then we'll go to item 153, which is Senator Fillingham. Senator Fillingham, pass and retain. 154, Senator DeBar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Call that item up and have the title read.
Please read the title.
Senate nomination number 40, Dr. Richard Lansing Lance Evans, New Albany, Mississippi State Superintendent of Public Education, term beginning July 1st, 2024.
Make the usual motions.
Don't know that we need the usual motion on that. So, you can explain.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. This is the nomination for the State Superintendent, Dr. Evans. Dr. Evans came before the Education Committee yesterday. There was lively discussion. He presented himself well. I think there was questions by almost every member of the committee. All the questions were asked. They were answered satisfactorily. There was no derogatory data in his background. And the motion is that we do advise and consent by use of morning roll call.
Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, the Senator suggests we use the morning roll call for due advise and consent. Any senator object? Any senator wish to be recorded as voting no? Senator Hill as present. Anyone else? Seeing no others, please record passage by the use of the morning roll call. Senator Polk, 155, pass and retain. We'll go to 156. 156 pass and retained. 157. 157. 158. 159. Keep passing, Senator Polk. Okay. All the way through Senate nomination 60. And then Senator McMahon on 162. Pass and retained. Senator Hobson, did you wish to be recognized?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move to suspend the rules to go back to the concurrence or non-concurrence calendar, item 24. And if we can get my motion to suspend the rules for consideration of item 24.
Item 24, suspend the rules, go back to item 24. Anyone object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. Senator Hobson.
Thank you. Ask the title be read.
Please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2825, appropriations via certain fiscal year 2024 appropriations, fund authority, and transfers.
I move that we do not concur and invite conference.
The motion is do not concur and invite conference. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. The ayes have it. Senator.
Thank you. The next item 25, I would ask that we suspend the rules for immediate consideration of item 25 on today's calendar.
Senator asks that we suspend the rules, go back to item 25, Senate Bill number 2844. Any objections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. Senator Hobson.
I ask the title be read.
Please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2844, variable compensation plan, make certain amendments.
Senator Hobson.
Thank you. I ask that we concur and ask to be recognized to explain.
You're recognized to explain, Senator.
Thank you. This is the same bill we passed earlier that puts the VCP language into law. The only difference the House, the only change the House made is in line 47. We had, after the date of sine die, they added adjournment of the regular legislative session. And that's the only change to the previous VCP bill. If there are any questions, I will yield. If there are none, the motion is we do concur.
Seeing no questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Hobson.
Thank you. Ask we go to item 26 on the calendar and have the title, move to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of item 26 on today's calendar.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator Hobson.
Ask the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title 26.
Senate Bill number 2846, appropriation, make technical revisions, certain transfers, and provisions related to local projects.
I ask that we do not concur but invite conference. It's my motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Hobson. Normal good work. Anyone else? Anyone else? Senator Turner Ford, for what purpose, ma'am?
Motion to reconsider.
Please proceed.
I request that item 57 on yesterday's calendar, House Bill number 728, be held on a motion to reconsider.
Yeah, we'll join the chair. And anyone else? Anyone else? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other announcements? Any other announcements? Senator Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to place item 61 on today's calendar, House Bill 819, on a motion to reconsider.
61 to the chairman, Senator Barr.
Adjourn in memory, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Senate adjourns today. I ask that we adjourn in the memory of Judge Shannon Clark, who was the first chancellor for the newly created district of Jones and Wayne County. He passed away this morning, and I ask we adjourn in his memory.
Senator Harkins.
Adjourn in memory.
Please proceed.
When the Senate adjourns today, I ask they do so in memory of Miss Allison Hinton Davis, who passed away 46 years young.
Senator Norwood,
Adjourn member, Mr. President.
please proceed.
The Senate adjourned today, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Mr. Martell Beavers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Williams,
Adjourn in memory, Mr. President.
please proceed.
When the Senate adjourns today, I'd like us to adjourn in memory of Mr. Ralph Edward Henley. He passed away in Clarkson, Mississippi this last week. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Williams. Senator Bryan,
Adjourn in memory.
please proceed, sir.
Christopher Durang, and I'll get the information to the staff.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ladner,
Adjourn in memory.
please proceed.
Adjourn in memory of Courtney Maureen Smith from Pastor Stan, young soul who played some buddy sports and friends with her, dance the night away kind of girl, and ended her life short. So just keep her in y'all's mind and prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you give the full spelling to the clerk, Senator Ladner, please? Okay, other announcements? Other announcements. We'll have Senator Polk call the meeting in the morning at 10:30 tomorrow. The Joint Legislative Budget Committee will be meeting to set the budget for this year, preparatory to Senator Hobson's appropriations hard work to be doing that. Mr. Clerk, please read the names.
Dean Kirby, Briggs Hobson, Josh Harkins, David Parker, Nicole Boyd, and Rod Hickman.
Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the Senate stand in recess until 5 p.m., at which time the Journal will reflect that we're adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Stand in recess.